How's it going, everybody? I am Louis the Average Guy 1983. Thank you very much for joining me on this video. In today's video, I'm super excited to partner up with Gspace as an affiliate. I got this at a really good deal, so I went for the Gspace Mars 11 GT, not the GTR. It was because of, the deal that I got on this unit. So I was originally supposed to be getting sent the camel version, but I ended up getting the black one because something happened with the camel version, which is fine. So with that said, my friends, I'm going to go ahead and do the unboxing. But before I do, I want to give a special shout out to Fish over at Gspace for making this whole transaction super smooth and easy for me to handle, especially the delivery portion. I got it literally within 24 hours after being able to order the unit. So this is freaking awesome. So I got both boxes. You do get two boxes. This box is supposed to have all of your accessories to be able to assemble the scooter. And this box right here is pretty unique because besides it's having the scooter, it's made out of plastic. It's not made out of cardboard. So that's pretty cool. With that said, let's go ahead and roll the intro so we can get started with the unboxing. Alrighty, my friends, so the first thing we're going to start with is with the first box. You do get two boxes with your order. This box is supposed to have all of your accessories to put the scooter together, while the bigger box is supposed to have the scooter itself. So let's go ahead and open it up and see exactly what you get inside. Oh, that's fancy. Okay, so you get two boxes, this fancy black one here, and it comes with this nice little ribbon material, and then you get this box here. And let me go ahead and take this box out first so we see what's in there. Okay, this one is taped up too, so all right, so the box is now open. Let's go ahead and see what we get inside. Okay, cool. So let me get you guys closer real quick. So right here, you get the brackets for the stem. You see that? That looks pretty beefy. And you get the little screws or the covers or bolts that go at the top of the handlebar. That's all that comes in this box. Let's go ahead and scoot it over. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the fancy looking black box. And scoot this over. So, okay, here we go. I have to turn this over for you guys here. Let's go ahead and take this off. So you get a ribbon. And let's see what comes in this box. All right, so there's a lot more in here. Let me go ahead and bring you guys even closer. All right, so in this box, you get a lot more stuff, man. So here you actually get the manual, what looks like some rubber padding. This is probably for the kick plate on the back. You get a wrench, 18 millimeter. You get a hex key set, the clamps for the headlight. All right, this is the headlight. Let's see here. Oh, that looks nice. Check that out. That's a very nice looking light. I hope the edges light up too. That would be really cool. I have some headlights like this that light up from the edges, but they have random colors. I like to see this in solid white. That would be really cool. So it looks like it has the running light and a fog light, or possibly a high beam. And it looks like the horn is right here in the back as well. But let's go ahead and move this to the side. Okay, next is the actual grille cover. This is to protect the headlight from damage. And you get the stabilizer little bar. This is a bar that goes in the middle of the stem, so that this stays together and it doesn't move out of place. You won't have any wobbliness on the handlebar. So this is cool, and it's black. That means that I got the black model. I was originally supposed to get sent the camel, but something ended up happening to that one, so I got sent a brand new black one. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We have this box right here. Okay, this box has to be the charger, I'm pretty sure. Yep. I was right. This is the charger. All right, cool. Let's check this out real quick. Oh, this is nice. Check that out right there. 84 volts, 6 amps. Most of these chargers come at 5 amps at maximum. So this is really cool. This is what the plug looks like. Kind of has that Deadpool face. Cool, man. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and scoot all of this over and start opening up the main scooter. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead and get to the official unboxing of the actual scooter itself. Like I mentioned earlier, this box is made out of plastic. It's not made out of cardboard. That's freaking crazy, right? So let's go ahead and start taking off the tape. Oh. Here we go. All right. Yeah, it really is made out of plastic. Holy crap. Wow. You know, that's the first time I see a scooter company do that. Most like packaging, like they come out of cardboard and then you see like holes on the sides and things like that. On this one, I only seen a couple of little dings around the box, but because it's made out of plastic, it never went through. So that's really cool. Good on you, Gspace. All right, so I got this opened up, so let me go ahead and open it up from the front because I think that'll be a much better like view for you guys to see how this thing is packaged. All right, let's see here. Okay, there's one side. All right. Oh, that looks nice. Go ahead and get this out of the way. This one thing about this is it's going to be super easy to get it like disposed of, as in like the box. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this right here is basically how the box comes when it's packaged inside. I took off the front panel so you guys can see basically how the packaging is, and I'm going to bring you guys closer so we can take a good inspection of it and we can start putting this scooter together. Alright, so let's take off the 3 foam pieces. So this foam is actually really soft. It does matter when it comes to packaging because that means that number one, you're not going to have to worry about a big mess to clean up like that other styrofoam that just like deteriorates inside of the box and you have to use a vacuum to clean it all up and stuff. So I like this foam a lot. This is like the kind of foam that's preferred for packaging for any manufacturer that's watching this video. Gspace did a great job on this. Okay, so taking a good look here, these are the posts for the handlebar, but I do see some scratches on here. I see a scratch right here and a long scratch from here up to here. It shouldn't be a big deal because I'm going to put a bag over this, but hopefully nothing else in the scooter is scratched. So let me go ahead and grab the clamps that are needed for this so that I can be able to start putting this scooter together. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with this. So we want to grab one of the clamps, open it up, and then you want to have this side right here where all these little inputs are at, facing forward. So slide it in this way. Smooth side on the back side. There we go. And we'll just put this on like this right now. Still a little loose, but I can tighten it up. Yeah, this is good for right now, just to hold it up. Here's the second one. Here we go. And I am going to tighten these up. Right now they're very loose, but I am going to tighten them up once I get the scooter out of here. Okay, next thing is going to be the clamp that keeps this together. Alrighty, my friends, so the next thing we're going to put on is going to be this bracket right here that you see. What you want to do is you want to loosen this up as much as possible or even remove the screws, but you want the side that has the screw heads right here facing the front of the scooter. So let's go ahead and put this on. So it's going to be just like this. Slide it in through the top and slide it down. Just be real careful because I'm literally scratching the hell out of this thing right now just putting this on. Damn it. Yeah, I am scratching it a little bit. Very sensitive. I'm just going to let it slide all the way down for right now, and then I'll loosen it up again and adjust it to where I want to have it. But be real careful as you slide it in because I did notice some slight scratches as I was dropping it down. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to the next part. Alrighty, my friends, so the next part is going to be the handlebar. So you're going to need these screws right here, right? And this is where you're going to have to use this tool. So this one has an 18 on one side and it has a 21 on the other side. The 21 is for the wheels, the 18 is for this right here. So let's go ahead and put these on right now. Alrighty, so let's lift up the handlebar. Handlebar here seems to already have one of the clamps that's supposed to go right here at the top. So let's just get this on real quick. Alrighty. And just in case my assembly video that I'm doing right now is not really like to your liking, just in case because I'm a little too far, I'll link a video from Gspace with the assembly of the GTR because it's the same exact deal. Okay, counterclockwise the screw and then start tightening it up. Grab the 18mm wrench and clockwise the thing until it locks into place. All right, this part is nice and tight. Now we can go ahead and tighten up the screws that are on the edge right here. That's one. And two. Perfect. This is nice and tight. All right, cool. Let's go to the next part. Alrighty, so this part here is done. I also readjusted the clamp here. I made it up a little bit higher, so this way I don't have to worry about like readjusting it later. This should be a good spot for it. You could adjust this though. Let's say you have like an extra long bag that you want to put here in the front and it's like not letting you like comfortably have it seated like appropriately or maybe like leveled. You can drop this clamp down a little bit more just to like compensate for space. So now the next thing is just going to be wrapping up the cables around the stem. Okay, there's one, two. Let's go ahead and take care of the other side. Okay, that's three. And try to even it out with the other side. And that is four. All right, this looks pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and take off the wrapper off of the brake levers. And off the display. And this is looking pretty good so far. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and remove the foam here from the bottom. And it does seem to already have the kickstand, so that's a big plus. I was worried about that. We should be able to slide the scooter out because there's still more to install. Slide this out. Slide this out. All right. You remove the foam from the kickstand. There we go. Man, that looks beautiful. Very nice. Let me go ahead and zoom out for you guys real quick. Alrighty, so we got this assembled for the most part. The only thing that I need to put on is going to be the headlight. So let me go ahead and take care of that off camera real quick and we'll start cleaning it up and I'll show you guys around. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and talking about the headlight assembly here. Now that we got done with this, we can go ahead and just talk to you guys real quick about how I assembled this together. I recommend that you put the small bracket on the outside of the stem here and the longer bracket on the inside. This will help provide less tension to the actual headlight assembly, making it much easier to install, though you're still going to have a little bit of difficulty. I recommend you start off a little bit with one side, threading it about a quarter way in, and then go to the next side and start threading that side in together, and then slowly bring it all together until it's fully tightened and this headlight is no longer moving. It stays put. The next thing I recommend that you do is that you angle your light appropriately. The way I did it was I put the headlight basically 25 feet away from a wall and I had it angled at about 4.5 feet off the ground. So like level wise. So this way when I'm behind a vehicle, I'm not overshining this light at their windshield or their rear window and causing them to have a lot of lighting over their the inside of their car, especially if they don't have tinted windows. A lot of drivers get annoyed with that. So I angled it down, so you can see it is kind of angled downwards. It's not actually upwards or anything like that, so it is pretty much set up the way it is. And if I do have to adjust it a little bit more, I can always loosen this black screw here a little bit and then turn it down a little bit more and then tighten it back up. Let's go ahead and go to the handlebar area so I can show you guys some of the changes that I made. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and talking about the handlebar area, so there are some changes that I did. I know that I didn't really show you guys the stock grips, but don't worry about it. You're not really missing much. They do look nice. They feel more like poofy, but I personally like the design and the feel of the Pro Prom grips, so I put these instead. Just about on all of my scooters and e-bikes that I'm able to have this brand of grips, I automatically swap them, and if it's not possible, then I leave it stock. But in this case, this feels really comfortable in my hand, and I did readjust the buttons and everything, so the brake lever was actually at the edge next to the grip, and what I did was I moved it over, and the reason I did that was because of the way I feel comfortable riding. With my hand right here, right, I actually like using these two smaller fingers and the thumb to hold on to the grip. And these two fingers that you see here, I like to use these for my braking. So I use 2 fingers for braking and 3 fingers to hold on to the handlebar grip. And for me, that feels comfortable. Now, prioritizing on buttons, I like to actually have my turn signals, light, and horn as close as possible so that I can be able to use them, because I do ride these scooters on the road. I don't ride them on the sidewalk. I ride them with the flow of traffic. So this is very important for me to have as close as possible to me to be able to have full control of the scooter when it comes to turning. Now, the least thing that I actually have on this side or have used is actually the speed mode selector. So this one, I moved it over next to it because once you actually set, your speed, whether it be speed 2, speed 3, etc., you usually leave it there. You don't go messing with it, and you just control the speed with the thumb throttle. And the last thing would be the NFC card reader, which in all honesty, I like this NFC card reader a whole lot better than the ones that are built into the displays, because this is like super sensitive. You barely get the NFC card close to it and it automatically turns on. And with the ones that are on the display, you have to like angle it on the display and then end up scratching the display because you're rubbing the card against it just to get it to turn on. So that's just something to think about. But this is the layout. I'll show you guys the front in a little bit so you guys can see what the front looks like. Coming over to the right hand side, you can see that you have your Eco and Turbo button, your single and dual motor. Now this one, the way it works is when you have the blue light where it says Eco Turbo, you actually activate Eco mode instead of Turbo. When you have the light off, Turbo mode is on. At the bottom one, when you have the light on, you have dual motor engaged, and when you have the light off, it's in single motor mode. And like you can see right here, I have the thumb throttle right here, right at the edge of the handlebar grip, instead of having it further out and then having the brake lever at the edge here. Again, same deal. When I have my fingers here, this is how I control everything. I have these 2 short fingers and the thumb holding on to the grip, and these 2 fingers being used for the brake lever to be able to push in the brake lever. And this is going to depend on your standing position and how comfortable you feel when it comes to braking and riding. Especially if you know how to appropriately ride your scooter at high speeds, you know that you always have to lean your body back and kind of like kneel a little bit down, but not too further down. So this way you can have like as much stability as possible when you're making your stop to not go over the handlebar. The last thing is just the display in the middle, which I still need to tighten up. I haven't positioned it yet to where I actually want it, but once I do, I can tighten it up a little bit more and it'll stay nice and tight in the area where it stays put like permanently, and it won't be touched anymore. So the only reason why I haven't done this yet is because I am going to be putting a handlebar extender, because I am going to put a dash cam on this scooter as well. So I just want to kind of like leave it like this for now until I get everything installed, and then I can re-angle everything, and then it'll be to my liking. Let's go ahead and go to the front. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the front of the scooter, so you guys can see how I have everything set up here and how I have the brakes, like the levers here, are angled. They're angled a little bit downwards, like a 15-degree angle, and it's because of the way I ride. I usually ride standing upwards, and I usually use like the two fingers to be able to like press on the brake lever. I do have to put some silicone sleeves here, which I do have for the brake levers, and it makes it feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more in control. So I am going to do that. I did have to take off the zip ties that were here on this area in order to be able to like get everything off and re-angle everything. And what I did was I used Velcro strips instead of the zip ties to be able to put them on the wires, and now it looks a lot nicer. Right here you can see that we have the two NFC keys, which I'll show you guys in a bit how to use that. But you got your turn signals here in the bottom. Once you have them adjusted to your liking, you can actually tighten up the screw on the side of the turn signal so this doesn't move. So this way it stays put and it doesn't move out of place with vibration. Other than that, and the headlight being here in place, it's too bright to show you guys the turn signals, but they do work. They're very bright, and I love that they're actually up here at the handlebar instead of on the ground. That's one thing I don't like about my Tevron Fighter Supreme Ultra, is that it does have front and rear turn signals, but they're on the bottom of the deck, so you can't see them when you're riding around with traffic. This is why I normally use my Emotion RS for work instead of the Tevron, because the RS has the lights at the front just like this Gspace. So this Gspace might be my new go-to scooter for riding to work. We'll see how that goes, but the turn signals are up here at the front and they're visible for people to see. Let's go ahead and show you guys the rest of the scooter. Alrighty, ladies and gents, and taking a look at the front wheel, you can see that it does have dual piston nut brakes, and it does have a 160 millimeter rotor, and it has a 2000 watt nominal motor that peaks out at 8000. It can actually peak out at a much higher wattage depending on the controller that's being used. In this case, we're using a 72 volt 55 amp controller for the front and rear motor, and you have your 100/55 rim size 6.5 tire. These are hybrid tires, so I actually like these a lot because I can actually use the scooter off-road as well as on the road, and I think it's awesome that I can do that. Alrighty, and right here, here's what the rear wheel looks like, just so you guys can see the difference. Again, same motor, same 160 millimeter rotor, and dual piston nut brakes. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and talking about the deck of the scooter, right here at the bottom, you can see that there's actually ambient lighting. There's LED lights for this side and the opposite side. Please do not toss out your owner's manual, because your owner's manual, within the pages that are in there, you do have a specific page that has a QR code that you'll have to scan to be able to get the app through either iOS or Android for the LED lighting that's on here, so you can control it with your phone. The scooter does not come with an app, so you don't have to worry about trying to download an app for it. You can actually use the display for getting access to the P settings, which I'll show you guys that later on in the video. But I figured I would mention that so you guys can be aware of it. And you can also turn it off, so when you turn the scooter on, this light doesn't automatically turn on you and start wasting battery life. With that said, moving a little bit further, you can see that right here we have a blue plug. If I unscrew the blue plug, you get access to a special port that's made for an inverter. Gspace does sell an inverter if you want to get one, so that you can be able to power your accessories, like let's say charge a cell phone, watch some TV or something like that by plugging something into it. But keep in mind that using that inverter will be using the power of the battery, and if you need the battery for the range, you may not want to use an inverter. Moving a little bit further, this little silver button that you see right here is not actually a button, it's a cartridge that has a fire extinguisher built into it, so that if there's any kind of fire happening with the battery, regardless to the kind of battery you have inside of the scooter deck, the fire extinguisher will go off inside of the deck and reduce the chances of fires, which I think it's a great idea. This is the first time I ever see a scooter company do something like this to prevent, excessive damage done to a scooter. Let's go on over to the other side of the deck so I can show you guys what's on that side. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and talking about the charging port here on the opposite side, you have two charging ports, and you do have one 6 amp hour charger that comes with the scooter. Now, unfortunately, you cannot use two 6 amp chargers to charge at 12 amps. That's unfortunate. It would have been super cool, but the battery only tolerates up to 10 amps. However, Gspace does have a smaller, more affordable charger that's 2 amps that you can buy, so that you can connect your 6 amp charger and the 2 amp charger at the same time, giving 8 amp hours total to charge your battery, which is a little more safer than using the maximum 10 amps. But you guys know me, I have a PIDSM charger, I have a Roger charger, and I like to charge my stuff at 10 amps when possible. So I will be trying to find a plug that's very similar to this one, or the same size, that I can customize into my charger and be able to charge this on the go. Now, when it comes to this label, you may get this label or you may not. There's some incorrect information in here. The only incorrect information is the battery. The battery actually is 72 volts, 33.8 amp hours. Unfortunately, they made a mistake on this label and they put down 72 volts, 35 amp hours. But Gspace wanted to, let people know that it's actually 72 volts, 33.8 amp hours, which is what they have on their website. Everything else that you see here is 100% correct. You got dual 2000 watt motors that peak at 8,000 watts, so that's why it says 8,000 watts dual motors, and a max payload or max load of a 440 pound rider altogether. And the scooter weighs 131.2 pounds, which again, I know that this isn't something that a lot of people will be able to carry up a flight of stairs, but most hyper scooters are around 120 pounds and above. So if you're looking for something lighter, you might want to go with a 60 volt scooter instead. Now, when it comes to the motors, these motors are identical to the ones that are on my Teveron Fighter Supreme Ultra. And let me tell you, the ones on my Teveron Fighter Supreme Ultra are some serious powerful motors. Now, these are powered by a 72 volt 55 amp hour controller per motor. So let's go ahead and talk about the suspension real quick. And I'm using my cell phone here so you guys can be able to get a good look at this. This is the suspension of the scooter. And I do have it set to the highest or heaviest mode. It does use 650 pound springs. You may want to lower it down if you're a lighter rider, but if you're around my weight of 288, this is going to work out for you pretty damn well. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a demonstration of what this looks like with me on top of it, jumping on it. But I just wanted to show you guys this because this is really cool. Not only do you have a fork suspension here, but you also have a shock in the front. So this is like some kind of BMW style fork suspension that has been proven to have really good suspension in the front. Helps reduce a lot of things like speed wobbles, etc. Because as you guys can see here, there is no steering damper on here. You can buy a steering damper that connects here, and you do have to drill some holes onto the frame and be able to install the bracket here. So I'm not sure how comfortable you would be doing that. I know I'm not 100% comfortable messing up my frame, so hopefully we don't get any speed wobbles whatsoever. But with that said, let me go ahead and switch on over to the regular camera so I can give you guys a demonstration of the suspension. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so now I'm going to give you guys a demonstration of what the shocks look like. This is with the shock set to the maximum stiffness because I am a heavier rider of 288 pounds. I got to see how these 650 pound shocks do with a heavy rider like me. In case you're in the same situation, you want to make sure that this scooter is going to work out and it's not going to like bottom out on you. This may work out. So let me go ahead and stand right here and see if I can get this thing to not tip me over. Let's see. Here we go. So you can see it works really well, and for me this feels very comfortable. So if you're a lighter rider than 288 pounds, then there's a possibility that you're going to have to change out your shocks, because even if you put it at the lowest setting, which we'll do that right now too, change it all the way to the lowest setting and retry again. Here we go. Okay, now this right here, this feels like way too not stiff, but like it takes too long to come back up. So definitely want to have it at the highest setting. Alrighty, so with that said, now you guys got the demonstration. Let's go on over to the next portion of this video. Alrighty, my friends, and right here is the tail light. And as you guys can see, one thing that I really love about this tail light is that it has the turn signals separate. It's not in like a red coating where everything just blends in together. Allow me to demonstrate what it looks like. So this is a brake light when you engage the lever, and this is the turn signals. you can see just how bright they are. If I push the brake lever again, check that out. You see how it doesn't interfere with the turn signal color? This is brilliant. Now if I turn on the headlight and tail light, this is what it looks like with it on. And when I engage the brake light, it gets brighter. This is the kind of stuff that I actually like because it feels more appropriate to be using instead of something that just flashes the same color and it doesn't get any brighter, because there's a lot of people that wear little tiny tail light thingies on their backpacks that just flash, and that just, it's just a little bit different than what I normally would like to use. Again, I use my scooters on the road with the flow of traffic, so I want to have these as street legal as possible. This right here is one great reason to be able to use the Gspace on the road. Alrighty, my friends, now talking about the deck size, this is a really nice size deck. It's a lot bigger than the Teva runs as well, and about the same size as the InMotion. So let's go ahead and go to the usable deck space here. From corner there to the corner right here, we're looking at 22 inches. If we go further up to the deck plate, we're looking at about 28 inches of space up to this edge right here. The width is 10 inches and 3/4. The ground clearance, keeping the scooter straight, is about 8.5 to 9 inches off the ground. When it comes to the height of the deck to the handlebar up to the edge here is 38.5 inches. Alrighty, my friends, now that we took a look at the majority of the scooter, let's take a look at the display so we can go over the P settings. Alrighty, my friends, so talking about security real quick, there are two features that this scooter has. Number one is the NFC key that you see here. This NFC key, when you push it to the top, just lightly tap it, there's a white light that turns on here. When you push and hold the power button, it turns on. You can see that there. The next thing to look at is that there is a 4-digit code, and you got exactly 1 minute to input your code. So you can push the up and down buttons to change your coding. Right now it's set to 0000 as stock. So you just push the M button to go to the next number. And once you go to the last number, push the M button again, and you get access to the scooter's information. It turns it on. So right now we're at 84.2 volts at 100% battery life. And we have 0 miles because we haven't ridden the scooter, we just charged it up. To get into the P settings, you actually have to push and hold the M button. However, you have to do it within the first 3 seconds of you turning on your scooter, because if you take, let's say 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and you press and hold the M button, it takes you into a screen to reset your data, which means that it'll reset your distance mileage, your trip information, your average speed, and your max speed, and you have the option of clicking yes or no. And once you click that, you just go ahead and push the M button to select your setting, and that's it. Now, to be able to get to the P settings though, you have to basically turn on the scooter, right? And again, without the NFC key, the scooter won't power on for you. So that's like second security feature. So let's go ahead and push and hold it. Here we go. We're gonna go ahead and push the code. And now, as soon as it's turned on, press and hold the M button. And now we get access to the actual P settings. So let's take a closer look at that. Alrighty, my friends, so now that we're here in the P settings, let's go ahead and take a look at the screens. There's 2 pages, so we're gonna be scrolling down on the pages and see how this goes. So we have the exit, which obviously you can push the M button as your enter button to exit out. You got your model number, which is a DS103. You definitely don't want to change that. You got your units, which is basically your miles per hour. If we push the M button, we can get access to that page, and we can push the plus or minus button to go to kilometers or back to miles per hour. Push the M button to select that and keep going. The backlight here is actually the display, the brightness of it. We can actually turn it down. You can see how it's turning down, having it to 1, or we can turn it up to 5, which I recommend you leave it at 5. Push the M button and it sets it saved. Right here is the clock. The clock goes in military time, so I do have it correct at 16:36. That is the correct time that we're recording live. Once you fix your clock, just push the M button to get to the next number and then exit out. Your start password, this is where it's set to 000. You can indeed change the password. You can go to set password, and it'll ask you to enter the original password here. And once it does that, you can actually change it. Then it'll tell you to enter your new password. When it says to input it again, you have it set. So I do have a custom password that I'm going to use. I just didn't want to share it publicly because, you know, I don't want things to go wrong. Someone knowing that this is my scooter and they take my stuff. So you got your auto off option. Unfortunately, you only have from 1 minute all the way up to 10 minutes. And that's the only option. You don't have the off option, as in like to have the scooter on permanently, which in a way is kind of a good thing because you don't have to worry about forgetting to leave the scooter on. Once you have your, you know, your time selected that you want, go ahead and push the M button as your enter button and it exits you out. Now we have the wheel diameter. This is important. Right now we have the 11-inch tires, but you can upgrade to 12-inch tires without any issues. So for this one, you would just click the M button and you can change the tires all the way to freaking 26 inches if you really want to do that. But in this case, because we do have it at 11 inches, we're going to just leave it there, push the M button and keep going. This is page number 2. This is drive mode. Drive mode is set to close. You can have it open, but I have it set to close because the drive modes are controlled by the buttons that are already on the actual handlebar. So we'll go ahead and just exit out of that and leave it as is. Your speed limit, it's currently at 100% to go to its maximum speed limit. But the thing is that if you want to have somebody else use it, like a friend, or let's say you have a loved one that is not familiar with scooters, you can actually drop this number down. You can drop it down to 50% if you want, or even 40%, and prevent them from being able to go any faster than your assigned speed. Once you have it set up, just push the M button as your enter button and it stays saved. Then you have your battery information. Battery information is set to 100%. It's right now currently at 84.1 volts, which is great. I do like that this display does show you your battery percentage and also your voltage. However, the battery percentage only comes on in 20% increments. So that kind of sucks. I kind of wish it was more accurate and more detailed. As long as it has a voltage meter, that's great for me because I use a voltage chart on my cell phone anyways. System information. This one shows your serial number, which I'm going to leave blank because I don't want it to show. The next one is going to be your startup strength. It's set to 3 out of the factory. I would leave it there because 4 and 5 may be too aggressive. One thing I would like to see Gspace do is allow us to be able to adjust the startup strength of the front and rear motor individually. So let's say I want to have my front motor at 3, but I want my rear motor at 5. I can't do that with the way it is right now. This number is set up for acceleration, which is the startup strength for both the front and rear motor combined. So since it's at 3, I think 3 is a fine number. We'll leave it at 3. And then you have your electronic brake system strength. I have it set to 1, but it was set to 5 from the factory. So you could also turn it off if you don't want to use it. It's just, you know, depending on what you want to do and how comfortable you feel with your brakes. The last one is going to be 0 start, where 0 is off, meaning that you actually have access to 0 start, and 1 is on, which means that you have to kick the scooter about 3 miles per hour to get it to go. So leave it at 0 and exit out. And that's about it. From here, you just press and hold the M button to exit out of the P settings, and there you go. There's the information. So one thing that I like about this display, like I said earlier, is that it gives you your time. It gives you your voltage, which I think that's very important. However, the percentage meter gauge, this works at 20% increments. So it goes down to 80, 60, 40, 20, and 0. I kind of wish it was more accurate with the voltage, but I like the fact that it does have voltage because I now follow that. I used to be somebody that would follow percentage by heart until I found out that that was inaccurate on almost every PEV I own, and it's better to go with battery voltage instead of percentage. You got your range for your mileage, the total mileage you've done on your odometer, the trip time, and the trip destination mileage. And if you click the M button again, you can switch it to your average speed, maximum speed here, your wattage, and it shows basically the watts of the motors that are running because they're both running at the same time. They're not running differently. So it'll give you the same power for both the front and the rear. Push the M button again to get access to the rest of this. And again, when it comes to your speeds, you can be at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So right now we're going to be doing a offload speed test in each speed mode and see how fast it can go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we're out here on the Gspace Mars 11 GT. I do have the tire pressure set to 50 psi for the front and the rear wheel, and we do have the scooter at 100% battery life. Basically, it says here 84.3 volts, so we are within the 84 volt basically voltage, so that's 100% battery life. So let's go ahead and climb aboard and test out gear 1 or speed 1, because I wasn't going to do speed 1, but I figured, you know what, might as well do it. So let's go ahead and go for it. Alrighty, ladies and gents, so let's see how it does with speed 1. Here we go. Okay, speed 1 is doing 6.7, so let's go ahead and stop it there. Switch it on over to speed 2 and see how it does with that. Oh. So we're looking at about 16.8, almost 17. Not bad. Switch it to 3. Whoa. That's crazy. Okay, so speed 3 is doing about 27.6. Let's do speed 4. Speed 4 is doing about 38 is what I was able to see, so not bad. And we're about to do speed 5. Now, I'm doing this in traffic. The speed limit here is 35 miles per hour, guys, so please do not repeat what I'm about to do. I'm doing a really stupid thing by going against exactly what I normally talk about, which is just riding with the flow of traffic and not going super fast on this scooter. But because I am trying to figure out just how fast it can go, I want to definitely get this done. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we're about to test out the scooter to see how fast it can go. Hopefully I don't get any traffic here, so let's do this. We're looking at 44, 51, 54, and so far no speed wobble. 56. Alright, seems like 56 is the number here, so not bad. I'm not sure what the GPS is going to say, but we're looking at 56 miles of top speed, and that's pretty good. Hopefully I'll never have to do that again because again, I don't like speeding on these scooters. I don't think it's necessary to do that. I prefer to go with the flow of traffic and just like simply, you know, get as much range as possible just driving with the flow of traffic. Like right here, you know, we're going about 33 miles an hour, give or take, and this feels very comfortable to me, like just riding to work or just getting to my destination at a nice speed. So not bad. And again, guys, like, even though I seem to have gotten a max speed of 56 miles per hour under the display, you can actually achieve more speed if you're a slimmer rider. I'm 288 pounds, so this is why I'm mentioning this, so that you guys don't think that this scooter is slow. I know that there's a lot of you guys that want to go super fast, and this may be some kind of a deal breaker for you, but just keep in mind, if you're slimmer, even under 200 pounds, you're probably going to get more speed out of this. But again, you know, this is a 72 volt 55 amp hour controller setup with a 72 volt 33.8 amp hour battery. So also the current has a lot to say about how much you can actually push into these controllers when you ride. So not bad, man, not bad for what it is. Alrighty, guys, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna be heading back home, and I'm just gonna go ahead and basically talk to you guys from within the basement and give you guys my final thoughts on this amazing freaking scooter. I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna know how I'm gonna feel about it, but let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and now we're back in the basement. So what did you guys think about the overall experience of the unboxing, as well as the setup, and going over the piece settings and even the speed test? In my personal opinion, I think it did great. I do wish that the front motor acceleration can be toned down a bit. It was set to 3, and unfortunately, like I showed you guys in the P settings, you could only adjust the P settings for both motors combined. So if I choose 2 is a little too slow for like street riding, and 3 is just about right, but you guys were able to see the front wheel just peeling out of control. And I would like to be able to have the front motor and rear motor acceleration separated, so that I can, let's say, put the rear motor at 3 and the front motor at 2, and I think that I would have better control and less skidding from the front wheel, and it'll have better traction. So Gspace, if you're watching, in the next revision of the GT or the GTR, please consider doing that. Separate the acceleration for the front motor and the rear motor so we can control them separately and really dial down the acceleration to our liking. So this way the front motor doesn't spin out of control and it causes like tire wear. Other than that, I thought that the performance was good. Again, with a 165-pound rider, the scooter can go up to 63 miles an hour with a long stretch, meaning from this point up to this point, you have to have a long stretch to be able to get that 63 miles an hour, but it is possible. Unfortunately, with me at 288 pounds, I was only able to achieve up to 55 miles per hour realistically, which again, that is pretty damn fast for me, personally speaking. And I normally ride like 40 miles an hour anyways with the flow of traffic. So in my case, I feel like I'm going to be riding in speed 4 for the majority of the time. I feel like 37 miles an hour is a sweet spot, and would be perfect for daily riding. So I am going to be doing a range test video on this scooter. I'm going to be doing it in speed 3 because I was able to see 26 miles an hour, and speed 4 because I was able to see 37 miles an hour. I don't think I'm going to be doing speed 5 because that's just too fast and the battery is going to drain pretty quickly and you're not really going to have much range, especially with a heavy rider like me. But you can get an idea if you are within my range of weight of 288 pounds, you can kind of figure out, okay, this is what I'm going to get, and is this scooter right for me? Alrighty, my friends, so before we end this video, if you guys are interested in placing an order for either this Gspace Mars 11 GT or the GTR that's a lot faster and has more amp hours on the battery, please feel free to use the link in the description. And on top of that, be sure to use my discount code TAG193 so that you can save $100 on your order. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you guys real quick 3 additional screenshots here on the screen. So as you guys can see on the screenshot, you can get $100 off on your order on either the GT, the GTR that's in black, or the GTR that's in a silver color. It's like a special limited edition silver. On top of that, you can actually get some additional swag that's worth over $300 while supplies last till November 30th, 2025. So be sure to take advantage of that deal if you're interested, okay? This is going to be ending the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you guys found it informative. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace for now.